All right, today we're going to talk about the 10 obstacles to learning a foreign language, which also coincide with 10 obstacles to homeschooling. They're pretty much the same thing. So, whichever one applies to you best, choose that one. Knowing that the obstacles exist help you to figure out how to navigate them and recognize it's not you, it's actually a real thing. So, here we go. Oh. All right, obstacle number one is fear. Like, who's not scared of not only foreign language, but homeschooling our children? We think, oh my goodness, we're going to mess it up. Or with foreign language, pronouncing the words. How do we begin? Both ones, right? How do I even begin? How do I go from just being mom, quote unquote, just being dad, just being a family, to also being responsible for their school when most of us, we were in a system. We don't know how to create that system. You think, will I sound weird for the language? For homeschooling, you think, am I going to make them weird? Are they going to trust me? How does this work whenever I didn't experience it myself? How can I create this? And then how long until I can see some results? So fear is a real thing. You're not crazy in both homeschooling in general and learning a foreign language. How do you overcome it though? That's what I like to talk about with humor. With foreign language, especially, whenever you're learning, you can be funny with the words that you choose to learn. You can use a silly voice. This also works with homeschooling. I mean, of course, it depends on the type of child that you have. Are they going to respond to that or not? But humor is almost always a good choice, even when it feels really awful. It's still a good choice because it relaxes everybody. So being funny, being silly, choosing a funny shirt, funny hat, wearing socks on your hands, whatever it is that you want to do to be silly is going to help alleviate stress and relax both you and your children. Be funny on purpose. Like if you're worried about your accent, you're worried about how you sound, same thing with teaching your children. Why not add funny to the situation? In public school, of course, I couldn't do that. When I was teaching public school and I had 30 kids in the classroom, I would have lost control. But when I'm at home with my own precious darlings, there's nothing wrong with being silly. They love it and then they want to join in. Choose the things that you want to know with foreign language and with homeschooling. You do not have to be boring. You do not have to be bored. Your children do not have to be bored. You can choose whatever you want to study in both facets. And then always use your manners. Asking the children to do something politely with homeschooling and then learning manners first in whatever foreign language you're choosing. Those are both great ways to start and also to overcome your fears. Oh, I didn't know I had another one. Funny YouTube learning videos. There are so many spoofs on homeschooling. It is hilarious. So if you have high schoolers or middle schoolers, there's just so many options out there. You need to preview it. Sometimes they're not what you want to provide for your children as a learning opportunity, but choose YouTube, research it a little bit, and then share that video as short as you can. Shorter is better for videos, especially before puberty. But use YouTube and any kind of silliness to, again, alleviate the stress. When you're fearful, you are stressed, and we need to alleviate that. Humor is a great way to do it. Obstacle number two, time. Everybody thinks they don't have any time, but we do, don't we? We can think about how we spend our time. A great way to do this is to look at where you're actually spending your time, writing down 15-minute increments and being truthful about it. Sometimes with foreign language, we think, well, it's not that important. I can just, we can get to it later. Sometimes we think, well, I'm not at home enough. There's no way for me to accomplish anything. And we kind of do this self-deprecating idea that, oh, I'm not going to stick with it anyhow. So we, self-fulfilling prophecy. We decide from the beginning that we're not going to stick with it with either homeschooling or with foreign language. So let's overcome the issue of time. It is a true issue. With time, it's all about your choices. You spend every moment, your whole life is full of choices, from when you're going to get up to when you're going to bed to whether or not you're spending money on dinner or time on dinner. How do you make those choices? Recognizing that foreign language as well as homeschooling in general is better for everybody's brain health, your income increaser, college choice, and mission field. Anytime you have more freedom in your education as well as in what you study and how you study, it's going to be better. Foreign language for sure. if you haven't read any of my blogs on brain health, you need to, because you'll be super motivated to find out that, wow, just by learning a few words and communicating a few different ways in a second language really improves my health and gives me longevity. Practicing at mealtime. This is great for homeschooling as well. Anytime you have a hard subject, no matter what it is, add food. I mean, those little goldfish crackers, they're gold. I didn't mean to do that, but yeah, it's really funny. But practicing at mealtime will make everything more enjoyable for the kids, and it really perks them up. A lot of times you don't have a cranky kid, you have a kid that has a hard time with maintaining blood sugar, and so they get really cranky really quickly. Goldfish are a great way to help manage that. Also, I like to use tortillas. I heard from my northern friends and my Midwestern friends, they don't call them tortillas, they call them soft taco shells, which was crazy to me. But tortillas are great because there's no sugar, there's no crumbs, and they're a toy, right? You can bite little eyeballs in it and bite a mouth and a nose, and you have a mask. So it's kind of a play with your food situation that you give the kids permission. We also did this in the grocery store. I would buy a thing of tortillas, hand one tortilla to each kid, and they were busy and fed. So adding food and calories to any kind of learning situation is great. If you're not at home a lot, you can make car time. I mean, foreign language as well as homeschooling. We did so much car schooling, especially when we moved to the country, because we had about an hour in the car. So we did audiobooks, we did our history in the car. We actually had one of those Suburbans that had the flip down DVD screen. And so I was able to actually show educational movies from the library with their DVDs. There's so many ways to really capitalize on the fact that all of your children are strapped in and you get control over what they're listening to. Do not let them be on screens that are in front of their face. That's really bad for them. You can choose a location trigger. So anytime we sat at the school table, we had a school table, or we had a school couch or a school basket. That would help us to really focus in on our homeschooling time. With foreign language, same idea. When we're outside, we speak Spanish, or when we're at the park, we speak Spanish. So there is time for you to do it. Obstacle number 3, preconceived ideas. Let's talk about homeschooling first. Culture notions. You know, everybody has that story about that awkward homeschooler. When I taught public school, yeah, all the homeschoolers that came in middle school and they'd been homeschooled up to that point, yeah, they were awkward. They weren't accepted, and they asked questions that were not accepted by their peers. But there were also homeschoolers that came into the middle school that I didn't know had been homeschooled. I just knew they were new students. So there's both types. It's not typically based on the fact that they were homeschooled, but typically based on the parents. So there's kids that are awkward in every facet. If you have a cultural issue with a foreign language, then you need to recognize it, get over it. Deciding that you weren't good at something and therefore you can't teach it, and then deciding that, well, it's hard. Those are all preconceived ideas and notions. Even that is boring, homeschooling or foreign language. You want them to be entertained and have the pizza clubs and have recess and all the different things that you want the kids to have. And so you have this idea that you've decided isn't going to make homeschooling or learning a foreign language good. How do we overcome these things? Well, you need to lead the charge. You need to decide, okay, I'm going to learn 10 words for foreign language, or I'm going to sit down and I'm going to study homeschooling, or I'm going to go visit and hang out with one of my homeschooling friends and see how she does it. Just, come in pattern after her. The number of families that I had come to our house and just saw how we did it. She's like, oh, that's really not hard. It's basically an extension of parenting. That's right. For foreign language, you can make those words, those 10 words that you've made and you've decided to learn, into flashcards. And then you challenge your children to learn them along with you. Competition really is, improves everybody. We did this with math facts, with spelling contests, with writing, with running, with push-ups. Anything that I tried to do, my kids would try to one-up me. Sometimes they could beat me and other times they couldn't, but we all had a good time. And it was all in good, comfortable fun. There was no negativity with competition. If you have a kid that has a negative outlook towards competition, then of course it's not going to work for you. You can study the different influences of the language in your life. So from patio, rodeo, of course, all the tacos, enchiladas, things like that. There's so many words that came from the Spanish background, all the country or states, Florida, Colorado, Montana. So many states, so many states came from the influence of Spanish. That's true of every language. And then giving specific reasons for foreign language or for homeschooling. Letting your kids know that we're doing this to save money, which it is true. Homeschooling is actually cheaper in some ways, um, just because you don't have to keep up with all the trends. Another reason is because you can eat at home. So you're not having to send food to the school. You're together a lot more. You have so much more freedom. Your health is better. You're sleeping more often. You're able to wake up when you wake up. You're not on a time schedule. You can study whatever you want for a longer amount of time, and you can shorten the different studies and situations, units that you don't want to study. You can shorten those to a more, palatable length of time for you. All of our trips, we took so many more trips than we would have ever taken, not only because of homeschooling, but also because of learning Spanish. It's just so much more fun. Oh my goodness. Enjoy the freedom. Overcome your attitudes and your preconceived notions. Obstacle number 4, boredom. You're worried that learning a language is going to be boring, or you're worried that your child is going to be bored while you're homeschooling. You're thinking, well, languages are made up of words. There's lots of them. I don't want to do drill and kill. It's grammar, it's words, because that was your situation, right? When you learned Spanish or whatever language, you remember the conjugation charts, and that's what stuck in your head because you were stressed out about it. You're thinking, oh, it's the same stuff over and over again: colors, numbers, clothing, weather, colors, number, clothing, weather. Same thing with homeschooling, right? You think, oh gosh, school is so boring. I don't want to do that with my kid. I mean, you don't have to, or you think it's just not interesting. How do we overcome it? Well, you change, right? The best way to change is changing location. So simple. Going outside, on the patio, in a tree, a swimming pool. The number of times I read history books, living history books, to my kids while they were swimming in the pond. It's crazy. There's just so many ways to change where you are, and that by itself invigorates your child and really helps them to engage. Changing the topic from homeschooling to foreign language. You can study anything you want, and then let them decide what to do. Let them be original. Let them choose. Give them 3 choices that are all okay, right? You say you have all these options, and there's not a wrong option in there. So you never present an idea that could be wrong, because guess what? They're going to choose the one that you don't want to do. So give them 3 ways that, hey, do you want to do this, this, or this? Or do you want to do math before spelling? There's so many ways to overcome any kind of burden by giving them more power. And then learn the phrases that you use most. So, this is back to the foreign language idea. Is it pick up your shoes? Is it what do you say? ¿Qué dices? Or ahora, por favor. So there's lots of different things that your phrases are constant. Use those phrases in your target language. Obstacle number 5, already halfway through. Oh, this is worse. You've chosen the wrong curriculum. Whether it's for learning Spanish or whether it's for homeschooling in general, you typically bite off too much, right? You get something huge and overwhelming. It costs you a bunch of money. It makes your kid's nose wrinkle and your nose wrinkle. You're like, ugh, and you're not excited about it. It doesn't follow your child's learning style. If you haven't looked into that, I have the key to learning anything that will help you figure out your child's learning style. And you're just using the stuff you had around. Like, you just pull out your college textbook and you think this is good enough. Typically, it's not. Typically, that's the wrong curriculum. So how do we overcome it? Well, you don't have to necessarily throw out your curriculum or sell it for a loss. You can just use the curriculum you have, but change the way you use it. You can make flashcards, any kind of thing that you can pull into a small bit of information, onto a Post-it note, onto an index card. Make it small. Break things down into smaller pieces, and you'll be shocked at how much easier it feels, because guess what? It is. You've broken down the big elephant into bite-sized pieces. Find out your learning style, first of all. Is it visual, audio, or tactile? And then find out your children's learning style. It will help you so much. And then you can just tailor the stuff you already have. For foreign language, I have bilingual readers. There are a ton of readers at the library in the Spanish section. You can type that title of that reader into YouTube, and there's usually some sweet little mama reading it out loud. So there's lots of ways to change the curriculum that you're using and just kind of augment it or supplement it. Same thing with the different subjects that you're doing. Find a living book. Don't find a textbook. Go to the library, study, and look just for that particular topic. I guarantee you'll pique their interest in a different way. I mean, there's even math living books, right? There's so much out there to learn. It's not drudgery. It is an honor, a privilege, and a luxury. These kids are getting the education of kings and princes whenever they are homeschooling. If you do have a gaming type household, so maybe your husband is a video gamer, we had more online games and more gaming than I thought we would, and it wasn't terrible. We all sat around together, we played it. It wasn't all the time, it was Thursdays only, but on those Thursdays, they actually learned quite a lot. So look into online options and screen options, but just minimize it. Don't make it every day. So we only opened up our screens on Thursdays. And we only did that after the chores were done and the schoolwork was done otherwise. And so there's so many educational options out there for both languages as well as any homeschool subject or any school subject, I should say. So anytime you're overwhelmed or you have bad curriculum, just in general, back up and then start small. So back up to what you did feel comfortable about, and then just do baby steps. As you get better at it, as you do it more frequently, you'll be able to take off bigger bits and you'll notice that your speed will increase. Obstacle number 6 is confusion. You just kind of get lost sometimes. Then you kind of compare things to last year. I mean, you're not the same person you were last year. And then you think, oh, something's just thrown a curveball to me. It just became difficult from foreign language to homeschooling. This happens a lot. So what do? Just go back. Go back to when you did get it. Go back to what, oh, well, that part's easy. And then move forward again, like I said in the last slide. Flashcards, slow down, refresh, build confidence. Oh, this is a great way to overcome it. Let them teach you what they remember. Let them be the teacher. You sit down on the floor underneath, like down low, shorter than them. They're standing over you. They have power. They have permission to tell you what they got out of it. And you listen attentively and you model being an excellent student. You only ask questions when you raise your hand. You do not interrupt. So much more fun to find out what your kid knows. This is a form of narration from the Charlotte Mason method. Matthew C. uses it. I use it all the time in my Spanish classes. Anytime you are confused, just choose a supplement, right? Just kind of go off on a rabbit trail. Do something different. With math, we did this with Life of Fred. That was a fun little kind of segue that was different from what we had been doing with Matthew C. Then we went back to Matthew C. No big deal. And then go and ask somebody. Take your books that you're confused about. Take your problems and get somebody's opinion. I guarantee there's some homeschooling mama that will tell you exactly what you're doing wrong and how to fix it. And it may not be the correct answer, but it does kind of give you a way to keep going. But just don't quit. No matter what you do, if you quit and you're quitting, you're not deciding to stop, which is two different things, right? Deciding to take a break or deciding to stop is very different than quitting. If you quit foreign language or homeschooling because of some outside force, you've now built a new obstacle, either telling you or yourself or your children or your family that we can't do something. Don't quit. If you want to decide to stop for a time, okay, but don't quit. Obstacle number 7, accountability. This is hard with foreign language because nobody's testing our level, is it? There's comparisons that exist for math, reading, literature, handwriting, but nobody for foreign language. Accountability with homeschooling is also sometimes hard because it is a little bit lonely if you're not in a co-op. And sometimes it's lonely if you're in the wrong co-op, right? That accountability is actually comparison and it's kind of toxic. But if you don't have anybody that's outside the family that's a cheerleader for you, it's difficult. And you're thinking, well, I don't never use this. If we get to physics or chemistry, and I'm like, well, I didn't need to know that. That doesn't mean that it's not important. That means that you didn't simply haven't used it recently, but it's still good to be exposed to. Same with foreign language. They look at their parents and they say, well, you don't know Spanish and you're doing fine. So the way we overcome it is that you need to tell people about it. You get accountability by letting people know that you've begun studying Spanish or you've begun doing homeschool with a co-op, whatever it is. Posting it on Facebook is a great way to do it. Challenging your friends to a words list for language, or challenging your friends to, some sort of topic like, hey, once we finish this unit on whatever it is, the Alamo, let's go to the Alamo. And who wants to go on a trip with us? Or once we finish this marine biology unit, let's go down to the aquarium in Houston. There's so many ways to challenge friends to join you and achieve something. If you need accountability, a great way to do it is do a co-op class. Whenever other people's kids are depending on you, my goodness, your lessons really improve, don't they? And then going to a restaurant, again, add food, add food. Anytime you add food, it helps you to be accountable, and your kids will also keep you accountable. Obstacle number 8. Money. It's not a bottomless pit, is it? You do have to budget. You think that foreign language costs an arm and a leg. It does not have to be that much. I mean, my own curriculum is expensive, but it's also for 2 full years plus, and for the whole family. The $400 price tag is what I've seen is most of what I see out there for software programs, classes, things like that. So you think, well, it's going to cost me a lot of money to learn it right. You think, oh, there's just too many options. I have to buy all these different bits and pieces. CDs, that's not really correct anymore. It's MP3s or audio downloads are expensive. And then you think, well, if I don't spend money on it, I'm going to get what I pay for. So for homeschooling in general, as well as foreign language, yeah, money is something you have to think about, but it shouldn't be an obstacle. A lot of people try to do things free. I don't think that should be a goal. I think being smart and a good steward with your money is a good idea, but having things free should not be your goal. However, it does exist. You can get something. I bet you already have something on your shelf. Now that you know about learning styles, now that you know how to go back and kind of change it a little bit, maybe you just need to change, like the kid wasn't old enough yet, or you were too stressed out and now you're ready to try again. So probably you have something on your shelf that you've already purchased, or you got it from the library or whatever it is. Just use that. Flashcards, there's a lot of them out there that are $10 or less. Ours are $15 for a set. It's got 45 words in it. And then you have literally hundreds and hundreds of sentences, because with ours, you can actually build sentences. It's not just nouns. Depend on the bargain shelf. I don't know. I think it's supposed to say dig through the bargain shelf. If you go to half price books or any kind of bookstore, there's usually a clearance rack. And a lot of times there's some good gems there. It's just that the publisher or the printer came out with a new edition. They have to unload these for cheaper. There's all kinds of apps too that are free. That doesn't mean it's a great way to spend your time, but you can use it as a supplement. So there are ways to homeschool, and there are ways to teach foreign language for very low cost. It doesn't have to be an obstacle for you. You can use SpanishDic.com. It's now SpanishDictionary.com. And then index cards, boom. Break down sentences. You can use the Bible, right? Write out the verse in Spanish, write out the verbs in English on different index cards, 1 or 2 words per card, lay it out in a puzzle way. I have all kinds of ideas on my blogs. There's ways to do this for not very much money. All right, obstacle number 9. Oh, lack of progress. This does frustrate a lot of people in both homeschooling and foreign language. We bought it, we committed, we did it, and we still don't know anything. That's probably not true. You just feel like you should have gone faster than you did. This is a true thing. I can't call it to mind when I need it. My kids can't translate. People think, oh, my kids should be able to translate. Here's the truth. Just prove yourself wrong. You can speak. Just ask some questions. Look in, if you're using See It and Say It, we have some options of what can I ask today? What are some phrases that you could use today? Every different lesson. You can just ask, te gusta, do you like? And then they'll answer, me gusta. So you can use whatever program you're using to make the sentence first. You say the sentence to your child, they respond. So again, you have to practice it the way you use it. If you only say the words when you're sitting in front of a screen, it's very difficult to then say the words when you're not in front of a screen. If you only say the words after repeating after somebody, it's very difficult to do it. This is why we have our live sessions for Spanish Geniuses. You get on there and you're speaking to us. And so guess what? You're practicing it the way you're going to use it. And so when it's time to come speak, you can do it. Speak in front of people. Don't speak in front of a screen. And then this is a big misnomer. Kids really can't translate, not before puberty. You can't say, hey, how do you say this? You can point at something and say, ¿qué es eso? And then they can communicate. So try not to require your kids to translate. In fact, don't say, like a lot of times people look at the flashcards and they have, la naranja, and they'll hold it up and they'll say, la naranja, la naranja. And then they'll say, is it an orange? Don't do that. La naranja, ese es una naranja. So you're just going to keep it communicating, not translating. Translating is a different part of the brain. You want to communicate in the second language, not translate. So don't put that as a goal. That's not a goal. We don't want to translate. Oh, watching one of your favorite movies in Spanish. I have that movie magic set. And so you can go into choose YouTube. You can type in like Beauty and the Beast in Espanol, Cinderella in Espanol, Dumbo in Espanol. And so you can find watching little different scenes in Spanish on YouTube, but you can also change your audio, not the, I don't want subtitles, but do the audio to Spanish and just about every movie out there. Highly recommend doing animated movies, not real life movies. And then whenever you're like, I don't even know this, go back to lesson one. You're going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, I do know that. So do a little bit of review and prove yourself what you do know. Last obstacle, motivation. This is, after all, the key to learning. But sometimes you just can't get going. You lack a discipline, so you have to build that habit. Sometimes you just don't know how. Other times you just get so frustrated. And then a lot of times, not a lot of times, I'd say about 5% of the time, your child is creating an obstacle by saying, I want to learn whatever it is. Klingon is what I put. I want to learn Japanese or Chinese. So you have a language that you know will be super useful to them, and they've chosen a different one, and it's really frustrating. How do we overcome this when we're not motivated? Just let your children set the tone. This is kind of like that Montessori idea. Follow the child, follow the child. Just use games. So we have Spanish bingo. Great way to play, learn Spanish is by playing bingo. You can play any of those games, card games, Scrabble. There's so many things that you already have on your shelf for games. Spot It, Guess Who, all those games. Play it in Spanish. You can, type it in. There's somebody that has created a Spanish game for you to use it as a lesson. Break it down and set a goal. So say, okay, all we have to do today. Give a tiny goal, tiny achievable goal. Guys, we're going to learn one word today. At the end of the day, hold up the card or point to the item and see if they remember it. Set a goal. Once they get one thing done, that creates momentum. Tiny bit, but it works. Then find out why. Remind yourself, why are we doing this again? Why are we homeschooling? Why are we learning a foreign language? If they're saying, I want Klingon, stick with your language choice. And then that way they learn how to learn. Their brain kind of gets all juiced up and stretchy and malleable in learning a language before they go with their language choice. Same thing with kind of any unit study, any topic that they're focused in on. Say, yes, we're going to do that. But first, can we please do this? And so let them have some control, but after they follow your lead. So give them a timeline, or once we achieve X, Y, or Z, then yes, we'll follow your choices. And then at snack time, try only to use Spanish at snack time. At the very least, it'll be a very quiet snack time. And then as they get better and they learn how to respond, it'll be a chance for fluency. All right, that is it. Those are your 10 obstacles to learning a foreign language, AKA 10 obstacles to homeschooling. And I hope I have helped you to figure out how to overcome. So I'd like you to look at the slides and go back and decide, what is your number one obstacle? Which one's the hardest for you?